Hi, fourth graders. Are you ready to go on our next adventure? I got a secret. We're going to another place in the world. So you remember we visited Australia, right? And after Australia, we went to Kenya, where I had a secret word for you. So pay attention. There might be another secret word coming up. So what I want to, we're discussing and exploring expository fiction, nonfiction, excuse me. And what I want you to pay attention to today, for one thing, is to think about how information is presented in these two books, as you might recall, and how it might be different or similar to how it is presented in our book for today. And our book for today is called Exploring Countries. That's the name of the series of these books in Mexico. And it's written by a woman named Colleen Sexton. She has a bachelor's degree from a college in Minnesota, and she's a children's book editor, and she focused on geography. So buckle your seatbelts. We're in for another ride coming back to North America. So as we open the book and cross over the border into Mexico from Texas, let's say, we will notice that we find the table of contents right there for us. And on the table of contents, we can either go to a certain topic that we're interested in or just read from the beginning all the way through the end. But some of the chapters are entitled Where is Mexico, The Land, a place called the Copper Canyon, Wildlife, the People, Daily Life, Going to School, and so forth. And then down toward the bottom, it says that there is a glossary at the back. And remember, a glossary is where you will find a list of words and their definition. I know you can't see that real well, but like for instance, it says down here on the one I picked out, I can't find it, but traditional, the word traditional, or you guys, we've talked about traditions. The word traditional means something that's related to the stories, beliefs, or ways of life that families or groups hand down from one generation to another. In other words, you probably have lots of traditions in your own family that you celebrate or talk about. So on the very last page of the book, we find the index. I'm asking you a question. Why might it be helpful to have an index? Why might it be helpful to a reader to have an index? If you want to pause the video and think about that for a moment, you can do so now. And if not, you're still here, which is great. An index is going to help you to look for certain words or certain topics that you'd like to know more about, and it's going to give you their address. In other words, what page number can I find that? So for instance, if I want to read about the climate, it says page 6. Interesting. We're going to go to page 6 in a moment. First, we're going to start with page 4. Here we see a map of the world in the inset, and you can see the location of Mexico, which is in the southern part of North America. Then in the larger map, or the larger area here, you can see kind of, and this is Texas that's right above it there that they're pointing to, where Rio Grande kind of meets the city here. And I'm just going to read some of the narrative here just to give us a gist. And you can try to follow along if I don't move around too much. Mexico, the southernmost country in North America, spans 758,449 square miles, which can also be converted into kilometers, of the continent. The United States lies across Mexico's northern border. The Rio Grande, one of the longest rivers in North America, flows from 1,250 miles along this boundary. To the southeast, Mexico borders Belize and Guatemala. The Pacific Ocean washes Mexico's western shore. On the east coast, the Yucatan Peninsula separates the waters of the Gulf of Mexico from the Caribbean Sea. Mexico City is the country's capital. And this, I have a personal connection to this because I spent 2 summers in Mexico. And in one of those summers, we arrived in Mexico City. I lived with a Mexican family. It was a great experience. Lots of hospitality. So I want you to pay attention to some of the bold words on this page. We have the word plateau, wetlands, tropical rainforests. These are all words that you would find in the index. So if you come across them, and you probably already know this, these bold words, this is a text feature we've spoken about before, that if you go to the index, you'll find the definition, which is very helpful. Most of Mexico's cities lie on a large plateau in the middle of Mexico. In some places, this flat land rises more than a mile high. Rocky mountain ranges with snowy peaks surround the plateau. Mountainsides covered in forests slope down to meet rolling hills and plains. Beyond the plains, sandy beaches and wetlands line the coast. In the northwest, the Baja California Peninsula goes for long periods of time without rain. Deep canyons and rocky deserts cover much of northern Mexico. Tropical rainforests lie in the far south where the weather is hotter. And I see they've put two great photographs in here, the author has, and then we notice this text box that says fun fact, which keep that in mind because that might be something of interest when you start to write your own country reports, we'll call them, I think now. Here's a fun fact. It says several of the world's most active volcanoes stand among Mexico's mountains. One of the largest is called Smoking Mountain, or Popo for short, as Mexicans call it, and it puffs out smoke and ash. Another fun fact. Here we have a couple of pages talking about wildlife in Mexico. The round, colorful dahlia is Mexico's national flower. Dahlias originally grew wild in the country's mountains. Today, they brighten gardens around the world. Mexico's many landscapes create habitats. Oh, habitats. I used to know what that word meant. Do you know? Do you remember? If not, we can go right back here to our glossary. Habitats are natural homes or surroundings of living things. That didn't take very long, did it? In mountain forests full of pines, firs, and oaks, bears and mountain lions stalk their prey. Jaguars hunt in the rainforest. I'd love to see a jaguar sometime, but not if it was in the wild. That doesn't sound safe. There, colorful birds like quetzals and parakeets fly from treetop to treetop. Coyotes roam among cactuses in the northern deserts. The deserts are also home to Gila monsters, iguanas, rattlesnakes, and other reptiles. Deer and rabbits nibble on the grasses and shrubs of the central plateau. Every December, thousands of gray whales migrate to the coast of northwestern Mexico to give birth. And so, the people. Of course, we won't be talking about all the people, right? Fun fact, the Mayans are the largest group of native peoples in North America. They have lived on it's the largest group of native peoples in North America. They have lived on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula for thousands of years. Most of Mexico's 112 million people are mestizos, or people of mixed race. They have European ancestors who arrived from Spain in the 1500s. Their ancestors are also native peoples who were already in Mexico when the Spanish arrived. Native peoples make up the second largest group in Mexico. Many wear traditional, remember that word, clothes and speak their own languages. It is not the secret word. It's just the word that we used when we were looking in the glossary. I'm tricking you now, huh? Mexico is also home to immigrants from countries in Europe, Asia, and North and South America. Almost all Mexicans speak Spanish, which is the country's official language. And then we have a table. I wanted to show you this page because with some creativity, whatever country you decide to report on, you could create your own table, or you could find one that you would like to copy, because we'll do some online research for that. It says, did you know? Now, that's been a favorite of students at Graham Hill before, where they do did you know posters about a country or about a topic. Mexico has a young, fast-growing population. About half of all Mexicans are under 20 years old, and some of you are under 20. All of you are, if you're a student, are under 20. Let's hope. Speak Spanish. Mexico is the largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. Here are some Spanish words for you to try. And you may know Spanish, because some of you do, or you may be familiar with these words. I am going to make this lesson's secret word in honor of our two friends in the photo. And I will say they are two friends. And so today's secret word for this lesson, for lesson 3, is amiga, okay, which means a female friend. The last 2 pages I want to show you from this particular nonfiction work is this on food, because food is something we all enjoy, and I love Mexican food. It says, if we have another did you know? How about that? Aren't we excited? Many Mexicans eat their main meal in the middle of the day. Some people also take time for a quick nap or siesta, which you may have heard of, right? Before going back to work in the afternoon. And here we have a picture of enchiladas and pozole. I've had both of those, quite yummy. Long ago, the ancestors of modern Mexicans learned how to grow corn or maize. Corn is still a main ingredient in many Mexican dishes. People have been making pozole, a traditional corn stew, for over 1,000 years. Tamales are made with ground corn and pork or chicken. They are steamed inside corn husks and served hot. Cooks also make ground corn into tortillas. They wrap these round, flat pieces of bread around a mix of meat and cheese to make snacks like tacos. Anybody heard of tacos, right? Yeah. And enchiladas. Cooks spice up many dishes with chili peppers and use avocados and bananas and papayas to add flavor. Mole poblano is Mexico's national dish. It is turkey or chicken topped with a spicy sauce called mole, made of chilies, chocolate, and nuts. I know I've had mole, but I don't know if I've had that dish. But some of you may be familiar. Something to think about is, what did you learn, or what were you surprised to learn about Mexico? So that's a question I'd like you to ponder. You might want to pause the video at this moment to be thinking about that. And secondly, how similar do you think this book, Mexico, is to this book on Kenya? What are the similarities and differences between these two nonfiction informational pieces of writing? And you can pause the video, or if you're staying with me, we'll just talk about it a little bit. Well, in Kenya, we noticed that one difference is, actually a similarity is they both had these fact boxes. But in Kenya, they just called them facts. Whereas in Mexico, they called them fun facts. Not a big difference, but it might be something, you could decide which one you would want to use if you decided to use fact boxes in that way. Another thing is just how this Kenya, the table of contents was set up all in questions, right? It's kind of, I like that format, but it's just one way of doing it. And you notice in the table of contents for Mexico, it's only the first chapter has a question. So that's kind of a difference, okay? So what I'd like us to do for your remaining writing time today is to be thinking about, again, we're exploring different countries that we may want to learn more about. On Raz Kids, you can go online there and find tons of different countries. And I'd like you to read about one of those books, take some notes, look at how they're set up and they're structured. What kind of text features do they have? Look for bold words. Is there, what are the commonalities? Do they have a table of contents in all of them? Do they have index? So just spend some time looking at that and just getting a feel for, if I was going to do a book report on a book or a small book, we're not going to do books that are this long by any means. But if you had a book that was 6 pages maybe, and you had text and content in it, photographs perhaps, captions on photographs, all the kinds of text features that we've been talking about and we'll continue to talk about. If you can't get access to Raz Kids, go ahead and you can Google country, and I'll be giving you some better sites from Miss Burwell, because she's been doing some research for that too, and how you can access it. All right, that's all for now. Don't forget to comment back to me the secret word. Kind of hoping to get more students involved that way. All right, take care.